You're listening to Opera Box Score.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Wherever you are, however you're listening, it's America's talk radio show about opera. It's Opera Box Score. I'm Weston Williams, joined by Oliver Camacho. All right, this week, Victor Ryan Robertson goes inside the huddle. The genre-defying tenor is wrapping up performances of La Traviata at Louisville Opera and is set to star in a double bill of two rarely performed American works, William Grant Still's Highway 1 and Kurt Weill's Down in the Valley with Detroit Opera. And it turns out he gave up a career in tennis to pursue singing. Uh-oh, I'm outnumbered. Plus, in the 2 Minute Drill, Grammy nominations are in and Washington National Opera looks for a way out. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify. Click follow on Apple Podcasts. Hit the plus sign. You can also stream episodes of OBS every Saturday at 10 a.m. Central at amplisoundsradio.com. Email us your hot takes by writing to mailbag@operaboxscore.com or upload a voice memo using the You Got Something to Say tab on our website, operaboxscore.com. However you contribute, you'll get an OBS beer coaster, an OBS lapel pin, and a #1 OBS fan foam finger just for sharing your own hot take. And without further ado, my handsome co-host, Oliver Camacho.
It's been a very strange day at the Turin ATP finals. The matches are going the way they should go. There's really hasn't been any surprises yet in the results. But three things happened that you don't really expect to happen. One was sort of sweet. Somebody got engaged in the audience.
Aww.
But this is terrible, tragedies. Two people died in the audience. Both had heart attacks. Very, very serious. A 70-year-old man and a 78-year-old man died during matches. So, oof.
That is rough.
I know. It's an omen for this.
I was trying to get like a joke out of that. I couldn't.
It's not funny. Not funny.
Oh man, that is rough, man. I mean, tennis is a serious business. It requires, a certain level of commitment even to be in the audience.
Yeah.
And I would know that because I always get my tennis updates from you, Oliver. Let me also note that I flattered you coming in and you still talked about tennis. So that just goes to show you flattery will get you absolutely nowhere with Oliver Camacho. Let's talk some opera.
Huddle up. Let's go inside the huddle.
It'll be very clear when we dive into this interview where I first was introduced to Victor Ryan Robertson, which was the HD broadcast of Anthony Davis's Life and Times of Malcolm X. Ever since hearing him sing that insane music, I have been an instant fan and very curious about his career. So we'll dive right into this interview because we do talk a lot about his path to singing opera. And we'll begin by listening to music from Anthony Davis's Malcolm X from the Met and HD broadcast, first with a scene for the character of Elijah Muhammad.
Now Malcolm disobeyed the messenger. The chickens come home to roost. I do not know this Malcolm X. The chickens come home to roost. I send words to all the ministers. Do not talk about the president. Do not talk about his land. Do not make enemies for the nation. We have enemies enough. Do not make enemies of black men. Black men have enemies enough.
The Chickens Come Home to Roost, a speech of Malcolm. You said a famous speech by Malcolm X?
It's a very famous speech by Malcolm X because some police in LA were brutalized after they brutalized some civilians. And then Kennedy died. And so then he famously said, the chickens are coming home to roost. Now you impart so much violence on America and Black America. Now when it comes home, the same people that are imparting that violence are now turning in on you. Now it's the chickens are coming home to roost.
Okay, well, we heard that set to music by Anthony Davis from the Grammy-nominated recording from the Odyssey Opera and Boston Modern Opera Project, a modern orchestra project conducted by Gil Rose. And my guest singing those crazy, crazy, crazy notes, Victor Ryan Robertson. Welcome to Opera Box Score.
How you doing, man?
It's really great to meet you. You are sort of like my hero, and for more reasons than one. But I wanted to start off listening to that clip, and we're going to get to Malcolm X in a second, but just because the audience has to know what you're capable of from the start, so they know what we're dealing with here, with what type of tenor you are. Can we talk about your FOC and how you categorize yourself?
Well, right, yeah. I mean, I started out kind of as a Rossini tenor, and just bel canto, a lot of Nemorinos, Tonios, a lot of Donizetti, and Rossini. And so that's what I did. But then things started to change. I think, opera in America started pivoting more towards new works, which is right up my alley. Because when I sing with I articulate really well. And no matter what language, but it is more apparent, obviously, in English operas, because that's what I get commented on more. I mean, because you can hear every little word I'm saying. And it's hard to believe it. A lot of people don't articulate the way they should. That's a whole nother issue. But especially since the pandemic, a lot of wonderful new works have been given more attention. And I seem to be the new work guy.
Do you ever wish you can just get back to doing, standard repertoire that you don't have to study that hard, that you can just, I know how to sing this?
No, I was done. I mean, I shouldn't say this. It's both. For a while there, I was like, if I sing another Barbara Seville, I'm going to go crazy. Or a Bohème, which is a perfect score, actually. But you just get so sick of singing that over and over. And it's gorgeous, beautiful, genius work. And I'm doing Traviata right now, and I absolutely love it. But only because I've taken so many breaks now. I mean, and then if you're fortunate enough, you can balance your career to where within a season you can do, okay, so let's just take this year. This year I started the year doing a new piece, and that was in a workshop in Portland. And then I went to Seattle and did a Magic Flute, standard rep, very standard rep. Then I went to Dallas and did Cenerentola, very standard rep. But then I went to St. Louis and did a new piece by Ricky Ian Gordon.
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, this house, yeah.
Yeah, so that was the balance of doing that opera alone, was amazing. And then this year, I'm back to doing Traviata. But then after this, I'm obviously in Detroit doing the two pieces that I've never heard of before. And they seem new to me. But and that's how I hope my career kind of just maintains and stays that way.
We'll talk about William Grant Still and Kurt Weill in a minute, because that's why we're actually talking. But let's just take it back to Ricky Ian Gordon. I'm going to set Ricky Ian Gordon aside because I know Ricky Ian Gordon loves the voice and knows how to write for singers.
Oh, yeah.
But you're doing this Puccini, Rossini, Mozart, even Verdi in your rep. And I think you probably would understand just from your experience with them that they know how to write for the voice, that phrase lengths are natural, that climaxes are written in a way so that you can actually achieve them without, busting your chords. And then you do some of this contemporary stuff, and maybe the composer, I won't name any composer, but maybe the composer doesn't really understand that that's not a natural way to end a phrase, or that's not a natural tessitura, or that's a terrible word to put on that note, Mm-hmm. Do you get that, or am I assuming too much about?
Well, fortunately, I do get that. And fortunately, I've been very fortunate working with new operas where they hear my voice, they hear me sing it, and I do enough work on it. I do enough work on it, but by the time we come to rehearsal, I said, this isn't going to work, or this is just not how you do it. And they see that I've done the work on it, and then they're willing to bend, and they're willing to. I thought Anthony, of all people, were going to be more stringent in how and what I could do with his piece. I mean, because he's married to every note, he just loves it, and he should. But it's very difficult, and sometimes you have to really challenge him and say, it's not going to work like this, not with the human voice and not with my voice. And but you have had to put in the time and effort. And when you go to rehearsal, they know that you're not playing around. So I've never had anyone say, fight me on that. I mean, if I need to change something, I'll change it, especially if it's if it's never been heard before, like the Ricky and Gordon piece. We're all discovering it together. So, there are really no wrong answers as long as you're really trying to get the most out of the phrase and out of the expression of what the scene is all about.
But the hilarious thing is that you're technically so capable that your threshold is probably higher than most tenors, and you're going to make it really hard for somebody to sing your rep.
Right. No, I know. That is true. I mean,
you're like the Audrey Luna of tenors.
Well, first of all, I look at, oh my God, I'm doing a piece with a new piece of Anthony's right now called Pancho the Rabbit and Pancho and the Coyote. And it is so ridiculously hard, even for his standards. And, but I want to make it work because that's what he sees and he knows I could do it. So I have to spend enough time to where, does it make sense for me? Am I going to pay for that note later on in the act? Yeah. Where am I going to pay for this? Or am I going to pay for it? Or can I build the phrase? Can I build the scene to where I don't pay for it? There's many ways you can do that. So, but not everybody has the skills to be able to do that. So I know I have the skills to do it. So I just try not to be lazy. So if I can do it, I'll do it. If I can't, okay, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but we just had a workshop on it, and I just did everything he asked. All the impossible stuff. I brought it into the workshop, killed it. And then he changed it. He goes, that's too high. And he goes, well, and I was happy to hear that. But I mean, I'll do whatever needs me to do. But he's like, listen, I just think that half of this first scene, we can just take all these high notes out because they're not creating any kind of climax musically or artistically. And I thought, this is awesome. But you want to give them that option. You know what I'm saying? Well,
just to close the loop on this topic, if you are doing standard repertoire like a bohème, there are so many people you can bring your role to who can coach you and can say, oh, you should really budget here. It's like that they know the score. And like now you have this music where there's nobody you could take it to that can help you with this except yourself.
Right. Yeah. Well, in a sense, there's a few different coaches I work with off and on, and I know what their forte is. And I know it's if I've worked with a certain maestro with technically tough Rossini, Artemida or some Cenerentola, or stuff that is just skyrocketingly high. And if I think that the phrases itself kind of lends itself to what a new piece that I'm doing that's difficult is, I will take it to them and sing it to them because technically they'll know how to rescue me and help me through how to approach it. Even though by now I do know how to do that myself, but I do need outside ears saying, listen, you're not going to last if you do it like that. You might want to look at it this way. Think about how you did the second act finale of Cenerentola. That's how you need to approach, this new piece. So it does help. It does help having standard rep coach.
Well, there are so many topics I'm going to get to, and I hope we can come back to Cenerentola and Mozart. But I just want to go back to the beginning and say I first learned of you from the Met and HD of the Malcolm X broadcast, which I believe was only your second role at the Met. Is that? Mm-hmm. And the first one wasn't a very prominent role.
No, I mean, it was Mary Widow, but it wasn't.
Okay. So I feel like you went from being, a ensemble player to having, to being shot out of the cannon. I mean, this street Elijah thing was so exposed and so many of the really powerful scenes relied on your performance. Because I felt like there's other characters who would react to you and you're so much energy and so much impetus in all of your scenes. And I don't know, that's incredible that, that's basically your debut with most audiences. That's the thing they're going to remember about you. And you're so athletic in it too. It's like you're a very physical person. And I just wonder, like, I understand that like you had a bunch of debuts, around the time you might debut, like Broadway and something else. I forget, like, I don't know. There's like your press kit has like this major year of like all these things happening. And I guess there's not a question here, but I'm trying to get to the subject of your versatility and how maybe musical theater or how your athleticism from your previous life informs what you do in opera.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you got to be. I mean, this is like the Olympics of singing, especially doing Malcolm X. I started my life playing tennis, so I went to school. I've had a full scholarship playing tennis, and I just sang rock and roll and R&B on the side. And then when I was burnt out playing 6 hours of tennis a day. And so, well, let's just start looking into singing. And then I happened at the right time to meet a vocal coach from Georgia State, and then started really focusing on opera. It did help it because it's both are solitary studies, and both require fitness, massive fitness. And then this role, what I thought the Met was going to do, honestly, because they had offered it, not offered it, but they did ask, I think the only person who could probably even pull off these roles is maybe Lawrence Brownlee, doing not Street, but Elijah. Because I don't think he has the kind of chops to do Street. I could be wrong. I have never heard him sing anything that was jazzy. So,
he does. He's great at it.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's fantastic at it. Yeah, so he does these very informal concerts in Chicago that are like, where he sings gospel, or he sings like, what is that? Very famous get up in the boat. There's like a very famous, like maybe Sondheim tune, that he does. It's like, holy moly. Like, it's like, he's really good at it. So.
Right. So I honestly thought during this whole process that they would give him one of the roles and give me one of the roles. And I would have been fine with that, just doing Street or just doing Elijah. But as it turned out, I got both of them. And I knew I could do them because I did them in Detroit. I did it in Omaha. And so, and I'd been practicing and working on both of them just in case I got the opportunity at the highest level, because I love both roles so much. One is like singing Strauss, and the other one is like, it's like Terrence Blanchard. It's ridiculous. So it does take somebody who kind of has a wide range. So I was very surprised and very grateful that they gave me both roles, and every show too. So I was like, this is great.
But did you feel like you were drawing on music theater chops or music theater stagecraft especially in the Street? Yeah.
I mean, I've done a lot of musical theater. So, I mean, I was on Broadway. So I did. I mean, I think what really truly helped when I joined Three Mo Tenors when I was a lot younger, they had their success, and then they branched out and they added a new set of three Mo tenors. But those shows we did all over the world for 10 years. I mean, you've just got to be versatile. And I mean, because it's 7 different styles of music that you can't play around with. You can't be like, it's nothing worse than hearing an opera singer try to sing pop. And there's nothing worse than a pop singer trying to sing opera. So, in Three Mo, you will not get that gig. You won't even be looked at if you can't legitimately throw down in those. And I mean, there were guys because there was 2 sets of threes when we did our Broadway run. And they're just amazing. I remember when I first met them, I was like, I can't believe dudes can sing this amazing on that level. Every single genre is so ridiculous. So then you get it, the competition was high. And so we just fed off of each other for years. And without a doubt, that lent itself straight into Malcolm X.
Awesome. Well, here's sort of a sticky topic. And looking at your work, I see Champion, I see Central Park 5, obviously Malcolm X, and there's other, operas where your Black identity is part of it's a reason to cast you, for lack of a better word. You were saying at the beginning that you are grateful for new work and that you like working in this new work, but do you feel like you need to do music that has like a social justice slant on it?
Since the pandemic, yes, actually. I was talking to a good buddy of mine, a baritone, just the other day about this. What I think what was great about, if there's anything great about the pandemic, was it was a reset button for so many people. And, a lot of people didn't return to opera. A lot of opera singers, they didn't return. A large amount never made it back. And they just said, you know what? I want to try something else. And so the ones that did make it, and I had that time off to really think, I want to do work that's really germane to our experiences now. And I'm sick and tired of doing Barber Sevilles that has nothing to do with anything that I resemble growing up. Anybody who I know that I can invite to see Barber Seville, they just enjoy it because it's an opera. They're not really getting the juice out of it because it's not really a social justice at all. And as I get older, I just want to do, if I could do all new works, I'd be happy, because it's where I am right now. I love it. So Traviata is not so far removed, because that's a believable story, but some of these operas are just not believable, like Don Giovanni and all that. You're just like, come on. Yeah, after a while, you're just like, for me at least, I just love the Central Park Five is riveting. Castor and Patience about land ownership down in Deep South, which is close to where I grew up, I think is amazing story to tell. And it still is still going on to this day. And I've always been fixated and obsessed with Malcolm X and his speeches. So when I heard that there was an opera out on him, I was like, I hope there's a tenor role. And there was. So I was like, holy crap.
Okay, I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm not politically conservative, but I'm operatically conservative. And I, as a person of color, feel like what brought me into the love of this art form was standard literature. Mm-hmm. And I'm open to new work, and I'm more and more, I champion it as well. It's actually part of my other job. I have to champion it. Mm-hmm. But I worry that the audiences don't like the music, and they might be coming for the story, but they're not staying for the music, because that audience didn't come back to see, Larry Brownlee sing I Puritani. They came to hear him do, a song cycle about, I forget what it was called, Cycle of My Being or whatever, and that he got a very specific audience for that. But where is that audience to hear him sing Bellini, No,
I mean, that's a valid point. That's a very valid point. And if you ask certain people in the industry who's been here for 40 years, 50 years in the industry, they feel the exact same way. But I think there's room for everyone, and you've got to keep expanding and changing in any industry. And as we know, the opera world is shrinking, and because that demographic is dying out, and there's so much more that are interesting, that are such an interest to other people now. And not only that, but they're like, my son is 14, and he will not look at anything that's over 5 minutes long. So I think that's the attention span of kind of adults too these days. So, which I think is I'm so glad we're talking about this, because I'm doing a kind of reduced version of Traviata here, which I love. It's 90 minutes straight. They've cut some of the fat off of the opera. No intermissions. Audiences love it. Sold out every show. And it's and I think, I was in Atlanta. I saw Atlanta has more money than whoever, for Atlanta Opera, that is. And they did the same thing for Bohème last year in a small venue. Trim it down, have it more inclusive, and it's sold out. I mean, people want that. I think people don't. I think the concept of a grand opera is not as elusive as it used to be. Because then there's the stage, there's the audience, there's them, they're over there, we're here on stage. Mm-hmm. And it's just another barrier that keeps people away from an already exclusive art form. So it doesn't need to be necessarily new operas that bring you in. I think that should be in the mix. But it's how you do the classics,
I hear I mostly agree with you. My pushback is that there are a lot of first time opera goers, and I live in Chicago, and we have this really glorious opera house. And to, give somebody a 90-minute opera and then off you go, I think people feel cheated. And let's just say that there's a very famous grand opera that was done here recently with a very famous stage director's production that sort of takes the grandness out of it. Mm-hmm. And I saw audiences coming to this opera for the first time because they heard the name of the opera. They saw, Black artists in the lead roles, and they were wearing like they were going to prom, like they really thought they were getting, like, we're going to get, I didn't want to say what opera it is because, like, I don't want to incriminate anybody, but we're going to get this very famous scene. We're going to get all of this action. We're going to get this gigantic stage. And instead it was like austere and, minimal. And I think people felt cheated. Maybe
so. Maybe some people did. But at the same time, I think you get people who, as long as you get people interested in coming and interested in seeing more, that's the trick. I mean, because it takes all kinds. And, it's not a monolith. I mean, there's just different kind of people who are going to like it for different kind of reasons. And you can't please everybody. So that's why I think that, like, maybe if a company decides to do at least one opera like that a year, I personally think it would benefit them a lot. I really, the company, and it benefits society too, because kids, we did 2 of our dress rehearsals for kids. It was packed. And I know the difference. I've been doing this 20 years. I know when people are truly involved in it and really immersed and really inspired. And I know for a fact that these kids were inspired. And I've sung for kids who would rather watch paint dry than opera. But these kids were taken to another realm of excitement because they were up close and they was hearing the voice, to hear that resonance, to hear like they hear that up close is it's different than you're way back in the proscenium.
No, yeah. And it's not just hearing it, it's also being that close to it and having your body feel the resonance, to feel the vibrations. You can't get that from your phone. You can't get that from a screen, You
cannot. And not only that, but in Europe, all the houses are smaller. So, like, because of that, it needs to be more up close, personal. And the Met did what they do. What's that opera they did? It's such a personal, up close opera, and it's done at the Met. No one can feel the intimacy of it. Like, I think we need to bring opera and make it more intimate. Yes, have your grand operas that are big stage or huge, your Aidas. Mm-hmm. But I think that for the most part, opera needs to be intimate. And I think Europe understood that early on. But in the States, we sing in all these huge auditoriums.
I wouldn't say that Europe understood that early. That's how things started. And they have old opera houses. And we're America, and everything has to be bigger and better. So,
right.
Yeah. But anyway, I brought you on to talk about you're coming up in Detroit, the double bill of William Grant Still's Highway 1 and Kurt Weill's Down in the Valley. You are playing the role of the brother in Highway 1. I don't want to, no spoiler alerts, but you're not a good person.
Right? Well, that's objective, but
okay. Yeah, but I don't know anything about this Kurt Weill. Can we just talk about this show? And I would love also to hear what it's like. Have you started rehearsal? You haven't started rehearsal yet, have you? You're not there yet.
No, I'm still doing Traviata in a different city now. So I start next week. What I love is I love the cast. I mean, I did Malcolm X with oh my God, his name is escaping me, but he's in it. And I also did Central Park 5 with a colleague who's in it as well. So I know these guys are amazing. But I think that it was first done in 2023 in Harlem, where the Steele opera and the 2 scenes and the Kurt Weill was done in Harlem. And then it was done in LA, I believe, last year. So I think it's now becoming a thing where they're connecting the 2 operas, the 2 composers together. Both of my roles are pretty dangerous. One is pretty unforgivable, and the other one is not. He's quite different. I mean, murder takes place in both, but it's like or attempted murder, but it's completely different characters. And I'm just glad that they gave me both tenor roles because they're both completely different and amazing. So not as different as Malcolm X and Street, but character-wise, they're just a lot different. I love it. I'd never even heard of these pieces before I was offered, the roles.
Are you talking about Devon Tynes? Is that the name you couldn't remember?
Yes.
Okay.
For God's sakes, my memory.
Yeah, no, it's okay. You're busy. And
he was
you
excellent as X, actually, in Detroit. He was excellent.
Yeah, and you're singing with Nicole Houston.
I've never sung with her.
She's a friend of the show. She just did a couple of Missy Mazzoli, The Listeners, in Philadelphia and in Chicago, and she brought the house down. I mean, she's actually from Chicago, and it was her lyric debut, and this woman's been singing for decades, and she's just now making her lyric debut. Something is wrong with that,
Yeah.
But have you had a chance to investigate the William Grant Still score and the Kurt Weill score, and can you talk about how they fit in your voice? And you were talking about doing standard rep and doing new rep. This sort of falls in the middle, it's standard-ish because the composer writes in a very recognizable style.
Yeah, and it's not atonal either. They're both extremely tonal and beautiful and long, lush lines and just gorgeous. The Stills opera is it's phenomenal. So it's very easy to memorize. Actually, you get those roles where it takes damn month to realize. I can't even understand where this is going musically, but you know exactly where it's going musically in both operas. And I'm really excited. It's going to be so lovely. I wish we could start rehearsal now. It's going to be great.
Well, we're over time, but but I wanted to circle back to a topic that I thought we'd have more time for. But I wanted to talk about being a Black person and having to wear a white wig.
Yeah.
We
skipped over the wig part.
I know. I just want to hear your perspective of that, because that to me is problematic when I see Black artists in a production that was meant for white people and they don't change the wigs.
Well, I'll be quick. I'll be really quick. Yeah, I hate it. Early on when I first started, they had me looking like Al Sharpton up there. I was like, this is but then it changed, and it really depends on the company. Like Detroit does really good wigs, LA does really good wigs, Minnesota does good wigs, the Met can do really good wigs. But now they're a lot more hip to it, especially since the pandemic, which has changed everything. A lot of things, or at least the way you speak about things and what you need as a Black artist. But now what's even better, the past few operas, I've been using my own hair, which is awesome. Yeah. What a concept, using my own hair. Now, granted, I know even white people don't even use their own hair in opera because you just need a bigger look. You need a large look on stage. But even so, I just did a large theater in Dallas, and I get to use my hair, because the shape was right. You got to get the shape right, and it doesn't matter what texture it is, but, you have younger people now who are more exposed and quote unquote woke. So you have people who are, you just got to just show them and they'll understand, okay, it does work actually. Let's not put you in like Bookman from Good Times. I had trying to think of a reference that you might understand, but that's ridiculous to have me with straight hair. That's insanity. Maybe I can get away with it because I am 40% Scottish, but still, I'm still brown. So come on, I'm going to have kinky hair to some degree.
Victor Ryan Robertson, we have to have you come back and talk about tennis, because that's another one of my favorite subjects, but you're amazing. And we're going to wrap it up by going back to Malcolm X, but from the Met production. This is, what is this song called? The street song.
Oh, Shoot Your Shot.
Shoot Your Shot. It sounds like, what is this? Hamilton or something like that. But this was written before Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for being our guest today.
Oh, you've been awesome. Thank you so much.
The life is a game like this green belt table. You tie broke or win if you're good and able. Shoot your shot or give me the dough. You ain't got a lot for the white man to blow. Play the game. Don't fool with no job. A job is a slave. It will leave you wrong. boys carrying loads. They say they're in shipping, or rather, fable. They're just helpless losers, lifting, toting fools. The white man takes while the black man breaks. Play the game, get into the light. Don't mess around with the white man's stride. If you want to mess around, mess with his wife. If you try and change things, they'll take your life.
The white man takes while the black man brings. The white man takes while the black man.
Music for the character of Street in Anthony Davis's The Life and Times of Malcolm X, sung by Victor Ryan Robertson. My thanks to Detroit Opera for coordinating the interview with Victor. Detroit Opera's Highways and Valleys, Two American Love Stories runs December 7th, 11th, and 13th.
Highways and Valleys is such a good concept. It's, is it the Cav Pag of the 21st century?
20th. It's not 21st.
Oh, that's true. It is 20th century.
Yeah.
I mean, Kurt Weill. I love Kurt Weill. I think he's a heavily underrated opera composer. Obviously, I think he's known mostly as a musical guy. Yeah. But, I really like early Kurt Weill, where he was trying to be super avant-garde and so German with his opera Der Protagonist. Any Der Protagonist fans out there, let us know when you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify. Click follow on Apple Podcasts, hit the plus sign, leave us a review where you talk all about your opinions about Kurt Weill's Der Protagonist, and tell a friend, make them listen as well. In the meantime, we'll give you the 2 Minute Drill.
This just in, the 2 Minute Drill.
All right, listen up. Here's everything you need to know about what happened in Operaland this week.
Nominees for the 2026 Grammy Awards include friends of the show Janai Brugger, Huang Ro, Karim Suleiman, Greer Grimsley, Theo Hoffman, Julia Bullock, Amanda Forsyth, Will Lieberman, and no one else. Did you hear that, Grammy voters? You can only vote for those artists.
In a continuing story, Francesca Zambello now says Washington National Opera may move out of the Kennedy Center due to the Trump takeover. Since making himself chair of DC's Performing Arts Center, performances are maxing out at 60% capacity, and donor confidence has been shattered. Quote, "The building is tainted," said Zambello in an interview with The Guardian. According to Zambello, box office figures have now ceased to be internally circulated among the center's creative teams as part of the standard system of daily show reports.
Say it isn't so. Denise Graves has announced she will retire from the stage at the conclusion of performances in Porgy and Bess at the Met this coming January. Graves will continue her work as a stage director and as a mentor and advocate through the Denise Graves Foundation, championing equity and inclusion in the arts. Denise Graves made her professional debut in 1989 as Hansel in Hansel and Gretel at Houston Grand Opera, and went on to make her Met debut in her signature role, Carmen, in 1995.
Opera companies are sharing the champagne and other goods to those affected by the U.S. government shutdown. Opera Colorado partnered with Food Bank of the Rockies, inviting patrons to bring food donations and grocery store gift cards to performances of La Traviata. Meanwhile, Virginia Opera is offering eligible patrons a pair of complimentary tickets to see Rossini's Cinderella so they can presumably empathize with Angelina's poverty and be inspired by the power of coloratura to change one's station in life.
Following the cancellation of performances of Wozzeck in Venice, yesterday, November 10th, workers and orchestra members of La Fenice, joined by other performing arts professionals, marched through the city demanding the resignation of General Director Nicola Colabianchi and Artistic Director Beatrice Venezzi. They were joined by season ticket holders, music students, and Venetians worried about the future of artistic independence at La Fenice and across Italy. It has been only a month and a half since the announcement of Venezzi's appointment, which would take effect in October of 2026.
4 people have been charged after protests erupted during a concert in Paris that featured the Israel Philharmonic. 2 smoke bombs were set off inside the Pierre Boulez concert hall, and at least 1 protester was physically assaulted by audience members. The French Interior Minister said the demonstrators were pro-Palestinian activists.
Dynamic pricing at the Royal Ballet and Opera has sent ticket prices for the Ring Cycle soaring to over £400, or roughly $525 American dollars. The opera company has left itself open to accusations of elitism, as the new pricing system has resulted in the most expensive tickets ever for a publicly funded arts organization in England. A spokesperson defended the high prices, saying the demand-led approach to ticket prices was part of the company's commitment to securing a financially stable future, and the price ceiling has been set at £415.
In an interview with Bachtrack, Nadine Sierra tells the story of how her ex-manager went behind her back and canceled a contract to sing La Sonnambula at the Met, the opera and site of her most recent triumph. Sierra opens up about how she had learned to be her own cheerleader, how her Instagram presence has evolved over the years, and how she has navigated some of the more challenging situations of what can be a difficult industry for women. Find a link to the interview on the webpage for this episode at operaboxscore.com.
Jonas Kaufmann is taking on the silver screen. The tenor is featured in the film Pumuckl und das große Missverständnis, part of a long-running German franchise about a mischievous goblin getting into various hijinks. I had so much fun playing an opera singer in the latest Pumuckl movie, said Kaufmann on Instagram. It is so important to expose children to classical music and opera, so I was happy to be a part of this project.
In trade news, Neue Oper Wien has appointed Anna Souchon and Alexander Keimbacher as the new co-intendants of the Austrian company. In Belgium, Opera Ballet Vlaanderen has a new music director, Stefan Zilius, who will be giving up his current position as music director at Hanover State Opera for the new gig. In the US of A, James Gaffigan has been appointed the 5th ever music director of Houston Grand Opera, and Ben Robinson has been tapped to be Kentucky Opera's new general director and CEO.
Crunching the numbers, good news in Toronto. Canadian Opera Company saw an 11% growth in first-time ticket buyers from the previous year, the second highest increase in 11 seasons. The company attributes some of its success to its social media team. Their Instagram following increased from 22,000 to 30,000 over the same time period, and their new TikTok account is already up to 1,200 followers.
Almost as many as listen to us. Exit stage right. American professor, conductor, and bass baritone Willis Charles Patterson has died at 94. As a singer, Patterson performed with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, Boston Symphony Orchestra, and New York Philharmonic. In 1963, he appeared in a broadcast of A Mall and the Night Visitors after he wrote a letter protesting NBC's practice of casting white singers in blackface for the opera. In 1968, he became the first ever black professor appointed to the voice faculty at the University of Michigan.
Baritone Eike Wilhelm Schulte has died at the age of 86. Schulte made his operatic debut in Deutsche Oper am Rhein in the role of Sid in Britain's Albert Herring. He went on to become a member of Theater Bielefeld and performed 119 roles at Hessisches Staatstheater Wiesbaden and the Bayerische Staatsoper over a 50-year career.
German Helden tenor Wolfgang Müller-Lorenz has died at 78. Born in Cologne, Müller-Lorenz made his operatic debut as a baritone at Staatstheater Mainz during the 72-73 season. After switching Fox in the early 80s, he sang all 3 major tenor roles in the same 1987 Ring cycle, Loga, Siegmund, and Siegfried. In addition to Wagnerian rep, his roster included the likes of Cavaradossi, Radames, Polione, Calaf, and Otello.
And on this day, November 11th, birthdays include the last castrato, Alessandro Moreschi, born in 1858 near Rome. In 1872, German-American conductor Frederick Stock was born in Jülich. He went on to become the music director of Chicago Symphony Orchestra. In 1883, Swiss conductor Ernest Ansermet was born in Vevey, Switzerland. Gilbert and Sullivan tenor Leonard Osborne was born in Tooting, London in 1914. And happy birthday to Hungarian mezzo-soprano Julia Hamari, born in Budapest in 1942. First performances include Carlo Pallavicino's The Amazons in the Fortunate Isles, which marked the opening of the Teatro Contarini near Venice in 1679. In 1727 was the first performance of Handel's Riccardo Primo at the Haymarket in London. 1772 saw the first performance of Tommaso Traetta's Antigona in St. Petersburg. André Grétry's Les Événements Imprévus premiered in Versailles in 1779. Johann Christian Friedrich Hefner's Alcides in Träder I Världen was premiered in Stockholm, probably at the Jotunheim Theatre in 1793. Rossini's Armida premiered in Naples in 1817. Ali Baba by Luigi Cherubini premiered in Paris in 1883. Alessandro Nini's Ida della Torre premiered in Venice in 1837. Fromental Alevi's Le Val d'Andorre premiered in Paris in 1848. Franco Facio's The Flemish Refugees premiered in Milan in 1863. Another Alibaba, this one by Charles Lecoq, premiered in Brussels in 1887. In 1906, there was the first performance of Ethel Smide's The Wreckers in Leipzig. Carl Nielsen's Masquerada premiered in Copenhagen in 1906, and on this day, November 11th, in 1925, was the first performance of Leos Janáček's Šarka in Brno.
And that's your 2-minute drill.
A little sample of Denise Graves singing the second act finale of Carmen from the Richard Tucker 20th anniversary gala. Oh, Denise Graves, it was not even a year ago that we were talking about her pantsuit coming out at the end of Fidelio. And I also saw her singing a lesbian in The Hours. I forget the name of the character, but the lesbianism was clear. Anyway, she's still a young woman and she's doing a lot. So it's not like we're saying goodbye to her, but it's sad we won't get to hear her sing anymore.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, she could always change her mind. Maybe one more OBS bump if she wants to come on can get her back on stage. And speaking of the OBS bump, we are all over the Grammys, Oliver. Not to brag or anything, but man, I love seeing this list.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a very select list. Nobody else is nominated except for OBS. Friends of OBS, friends of the show. But let's talk about the best opera recordings. I mean, American Soldier, we talked about, we actually interviewed. Who did we interview again? Brian
it was
Vu.
Huang Ro, wasn't it?
I think we talked to Brian Vu. I forget. At any rate.
We have an OBS bump in there somewhere, and we're definitely disappointing them right now.
Janine Tesori's Grounded, which is the Met HD, I guess, soundtrack, features Emily D'Angelo, but other people are in that, including Greer Grimsley, so they get our nod. And then Jake Heggie's Intelligence. Jake Heggie is a friend. Janai Brugger is a friend. It also stars Jamie Barton, Janai Bridges.
Great cast.
So yeah, any of those are happy to win. Oh, and Kareem Suleiman appears in Kuyum Jayan's Adoration.
Yeah, Mary Kuyumjan, I think
it's Armenian, or is it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I did listen to that one. It's a very me opera. I think it really benefits from, I think, the studio recording, which of course is always very big for me. Speaking of significant studio recordings, the other one is the double bill from Irish National Opera Orchestra. Marco Halloran, I believe, is the librettist. What's the composer?
Oh, okay. So we're talking about a double bill of Trade and Mary Motorhead from Irish National Opera. And I'm stalling so that you can find out who the composer was.
Emma O'Halloran. Emma O'Halloran is the double bill. She's great. This is a really cool, there's a really good recording, and they're both really neat operas. And honestly, two for the price of one. I mean, in my mind, you're getting two recordings. I mean, I do think it's unfortunate because I think this is the only one where we have no skin in the game. Yeah. But it is the one I want to win the most.
Well, American Soldier is a recording, actually. So
yeah, it is too, and so is Adoration, Grounded, and is Intelligence a live recording, or is it?
It might be from Houston Grand Opera, but something new for this year. The librettist is now also applicable to receive an award for Best Opera.
Which is very exciting, and I really, really do appreciate that. Pretty stacked cast. I mean, I will be pleased if Trade and Mary Motorhead wins, and literally anything else in that category, if it beats that, we win collectively as a podcast. So
that's a good selection. Jumping down to solo vocal album, Sydney Outlaw and Warren Jones, Black Pierrot. Alison Charney with the National Symphonia Orchestra, conducted by Benjamin Loeb. An album called "Alike My Mother's Dream." Do not know it.
Me neither.
Devaney Smith with pianist Danny Zellabor. In This Short Life. It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous album. Grigory Kurtag's Kafka Fragments. I don't know if Sarah Naruki is a singer.
I think it's Susan
Naruki. Okay. I'm not a Kurtag guy. Sorry. Schubert Beatles. I love this album. It's Theo Hoffman with Stephen Blyer, joined by various artists, including Julia Bullock, another friend of the show. His smash up of Schubert songs and Beatles songs. And what I think is probably going to win and should win, just because of the pure technical difficulty, Telemann arias for soprano and the Eno cantata, performed by friend of the show, Amanda Forsyth, with Boston Early Music Festival.
Yeah, a kind of a interesting mix this time. I think Amanda Forsyth is my favorite album on the list. Black Bureau is probably a close second. And of course, Kafka Fragments is all me all the time. But, I have to dock points from George Kurtag for only having composed one opera, I believe. So,
yeah. I mean, honestly, the Schubert Beatles program is, I think, the most unique one in terms of like.
I am a certified Beatles hater, though. So I
show me on this doll where Beatles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the ears mostly. No, I think it's a good album. I think it's a lot of fun. I just always, cringe a little bit when I hear a Beatles tribute. Maybe I'm too young. Am I too young for the Beatles? I don't know.
Gosh. Send your emails to mailbag@operaboxscore.com. Best Classical Compendium is not all vocal category, but Will Liverman's The Dunbar Moor Sessions Volume 2 appears there, so we're cheering for that. And also Janai Brugger appears on an album called Seven Seasons. So if that wins, we'll also be fine with it.
Totally fine with it.
And one more vocal selection is Sean O'Pablo's Songs in Flight, which features
great
Will Liverman and a bunch of other people.
Good recording
artists.
too.
Yeah, on the Cedi label, which is our hometown hero here. That's in the best classical contemporary composition. I
want to also shout out in the best engineered album, classical, everyone's favorite category for the Grammys. Well, I mean, honestly, the Eastman Symphony No. 2 is a cool piece, but Shostakovich's Lady Macbeth of the Matensk District is in that particular category. Honestly, I think it's kind of criminal that recording is not included in the best opera recording, because it's really good. It's really solid. There are live performances, but you would never know with the clarity of the recording. It should win best engineered album, but also I think it's a bit of a snub that it didn't wind up in the overall opera category. So I'm rooting for that one. As the person doing all the audio editing on the podcast, I'm always into that category specifically. So that's my pick.
We couldn't fit all of the news in the Guardian interview with Francesca Zambello. There's lots of things in that article, but we gave you the top headline. But
it is a barn burner. You really should go read it. It's really something. I really love some of the messages she's been getting from the way they characterize them in the article as formerly loyal members of the audience. She says, they say things like, "I'm never setting foot in there until the Orange Menace is gone," or "Don't you know history? Don't you know what Hitler did? I refuse to give you a penny. People send me back their season brochure shredded in an envelope and say, never, never will I return while he's in power." Who?
Yeah.
I've seen hate mail, but that's rough.
The new management has been critical of her casting decisions, and Zambello is famously, committed to 50% non-white casting. That's sort of her brand.
Yeah.
Zambello says that these are the best people for the roles, and America is an incredibly diverse country. So we want to represent every part of this country on stage. They've also questioned singers' fees. They say, could you consider less expensive artists?
Apparently, Rick Grinnell said that they want all shows to be have their costs fully covered by ticket sales and donor contributions, which is crazy
You never break even. You never break even.
You never do. And especially when 60%, 40% of your audience is not coming.
Yeah.
Like, what is interesting in this article is not just the, evil aspects of the current leadership at Kennedy Center, but also wow, these people really don't know how the arts work, huh? You know?
Yeah. I mean, you would think that Usha Vance would have some influence because she was apparently a board member before all of this even went down. You know, she was already on the board. So,
I mean, she married J.D. Vance, so I'm already questioning her
exactly.
sanity. So I will say that there was a statement that the Kennedy Center put out, which quotes the chair of the WNO board. And the chair said that they have no plans to move out of the Kennedy Center. But clearly this is a pretty wild interview to come out of, Francesca Zambello. She's a friend of the show. I certainly wish her well, but I don't know how she doesn't get fired after being this publicly. I don't know exactly how the power structure at the Kennedy Center versus WNO works. I know that
maybe that's why she gave the interview to The Guardian, because
it's a British paper. They don't read it.
Yeah. I mean, they don't read. Come on. So
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I hope that she's able. Honestly, this has been what we've been talking about, right? With the protesting versus supporting the WNO. Zambello has said in recent interviews, making the point that the WNO is not the Kennedy Center. But I do think that this would be a solution. It'd be a rough solution, a difficult solution. But if you want to be committed to basic ideals, I do think that there is, a strong incentive to move and abandon ship on the Kennedy Center, which I think makes a lot of sense to me, just morally speaking. So, man, what a time. Do check out that article in The Guardian. It is a wild read. What's also wild is these ticket prices.
$525 to see Siegfried. I know that you would pay that, The whatchamacallit, the soccer, FIFA tickets are now like thousands of dollars,
Well, I think this is just another sort of symptom of, the Great Arts Council England defunding. Opera companies, arts organizations over there are panicking because they don't, unlike the U.S. where our government abandoned the arts, 50 years ago now, they have no infrastructure for it. They don't know what to do. And I think it's very interesting seeing in the U.S. the increasing popularity for what was Opera Colorado recently, and of course Opera Philadelphia, doing pay what you can, $11 for a ticket, $10 for a ticket. That's great. We love that. And then here you see, granted, a very large, expensive organization being like, well, this is the price, £415. And, the dynamic pricing based on demand, I think, is a scourge on whatever it's being applied to. We see this a lot in, we're starting to see it pioneered even in like grocery stores and stuff where, you change the price based on the demand in the given moment. And that's not a great way to run something that you want to be accessible to people. And while I'm sure that, if they can fill up tickets, seats with this price, they're going to feel very flush with cash, certainly. But, and granted, this is the ring cycle and people
it's going to sell. It's Barry Kosky and it's conducted by Papano. So it's going to sell, but it's going to be sold to people who can afford it. And for an organization that is taking money from the government, you would think that they should, make it affordable.
And it's a bad long-term strategy. Again, I think this is what happened in the U.S., a couple decades after funding started to be pulled away in the 70s and 80s. You start to have, the elitist perception does get reinforced over time as they're like, well, we need more money. We want to please our donors more. We want to make it your art form. And that works fine financially for a few decades. And then like what happened in the U.S., those wealthy older patrons die. And then, a recession happens in 2008 and everyone has to flounder and, start things from scratch.
Then Anthony Rothko-Stams has to come in and give tickets away.
Exactly. I mean, don't fall into this trap. If you are listening and you work for the Royal Ballet and Opera, don't fall into this trap. Push back, even if it seems like a good idea. We have to be thinking long term. That's the only way forward with a lot of these things. Nadine Sierra is the other big story I want to talk about. This is another wild interview that I recommend you all go and listen to. What exactly happened here, Oliver, with her manager?
She was transitioning. She felt like she was transitioning out of light lyric repertoire, like the Mozart roles and Sophie, and moving into roles like Violetta and Manon. And the manager she had at the time, they were going back and forth with the repertoire, and he really wanted to push her into heavy repertoire way too soon, in her opinion. And he had this idea that women getting older meant their high notes disappear. Ironically, she sings a high F, or she sang a high F at the end of Sonambula, which is like a marathon for the Amina. And I didn't realize that my ex-manager had gone behind my back in 2023 to Peter Gelb to cancel it on my behalf. I just happened to have a meeting with Peter afterwards, which I'll never forget. The first thing he said was, "I'm so upset that you feel you can't sing Amina anymore, and you've canceled it." I was in shock. He immediately went to his desk and called Michael Heaston and a bunch of other people to get the production back. And then he sat back down, incredulous that this had happened. And I couldn't believe it either. Apparently that is what led to the firing of her former manager. But yeah,
I get it. That is wild.
I mean, honestly, it was a real triumph, and it made me look at her in a completely different way. I mean, it's clear that she's an amazing technician. I mean, this is been obvious since she first came onto the scene, but something like Sonambula is something else. It's just one of those, you have to be like in great voice every time you sing. There's no place to hide. It's like the entire show is about you and your tone and your phrases and your ability to do coloratura. Like, there's no place to hide. So, and she nailed it.
There's a lesson in there about how to stand up for yourself and how to, advocate for yourself, in an industry where you don't always, where advocating for yourself can be really, really hard. And this is for someone like Nadine Sierra, who is on the top of the world in terms of her career, in terms of her, name recognition. Imagine what it's like for someone who is just getting started, who doesn't have this.
Yeah, you don't want to get a reputation for being a diva, and then people on a podcast are talking about you.
I also want to, before we close out here, I want to lightly roast everyone's favorite tenor dad, Jonas Kaufmann, for literally just doing side quests at this point. Like, I feel like every new album that comes out about him is just like, I just want to sing something that I want to sing and have fun. I'm going to be in a children's movie about a goblin. I'm doing whatever, and I'm having a great time. I just love the character arc from like darling of the Wagnerian sort of heady leader space to just kind of goofy guy, just doing what he does. I love that for Jonas. All I want for Christmas is you. Let's wrap this show up.
Good call, bad call on Opera Box Score.
Good call, bad call. That's how we end things around here. Eeny, meeny, miny, Oliver Camacho.
Oh, thanks. Over the weekend, I saw the Black Leadership Arts Collective presentation at Lyric Opera Chicago, a concert called Echoes of Excellence, celebrating the legacy of Chicago's Black voices, curated and hosted by Alison Cambridge, and starring Angela Brown, singing Aida and Tosca, Jacqueline Eccles, singing Caro Nome and the duet from Thais with Kenneth Overton, Lakita Mitchell, Lucia Bradford, Isaiah Savage, Chasmin Williams Ali, Lester Lynch, Kevin Short were all, and our friend of the show, Reginald Smith Jr. Really, really fun concert. They did not put up super titles. Instead of super titles, they used the screens, the LED screens, to put up pictures of famous and historical Black artists in opera who sang the roles of the selections that were being presented.
Oh, that's cool.
This stuff is a good call or bad call, but the concert, I think, was originally supposed to be inside the auditorium, but I think they just gave up on marketing it and put it in the lobby instead, which actually made it more intimate in a way, made it more fun. It was sold out. But it was sort of disappointing to have it with piano when you're like trying to pay tribute to like Jesse Norman and like Leontine Price and Ray Grist and like,
Right.
But I will say this, the pianist, Kevin Miller, is my good call. I knew of his work. I know that he's associated with many different, institutions like Opera Theater St. Louis and the Met and various, other famous places where people sing. He's a big deal. But I'd never heard him play. And man, incredible. Absolutely incredible. I am now a super fan. I know it's like a cliche, but he really made the piano sound like an orchestra. Kevin Miller, everybody.
And that is it for this week's edition of America's Talk Radio Show about opera. Make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts, get your voice heard, and find links to stuff we've talked about at our website, operaboxscore.com. That's also where you can put your money where our mouths are. Give back to the OBS using the Support the Team tab. Your announcer is Norm Woodell, your creative consultant is Oliver Camacho, and your audio editor is me. The executive producer of the OBS is George Cedarquist. For our guest, Victor Ryan Robertson, I'm Weston Williams, asking you to continue the conversation about opera for no less than $500. We're back with an all-new show next week where you'll get more opera headlines, more hot takes, and more Missverständnis. Join us.